this computer. Right. Okay, I'll be a bit murky because we just turned the lights off, so hopefully that won't be too bad. You can still see me. Yeah, yeah. I can see I'm sort of pixelated and dark, so we shouldn't be too bad. Okay. Now, before I get underway with my bits that I was going to talk about, is there anything that anybody in the audience has already thought about that they would like to either share as a tip or a trick or demonstrate? I've got one already mentioned from Andrew McPherson. I saw that. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, I've got something to that.
Okay, all right. So, all right. Well, I don't want to.
You're not so bad on that.
Okay. Yeah, so that's not so bad. It's a bit darker, and also Joe's got something as well. So that, thank you, Joe.
Camera in your laptops.
It is the camera on my laptop, but it's a bit dark with the lights off. But otherwise, we get the TV screen behind me look silly if I switch cameras. So, all right. So, of the people who are here, is it something who got something they want to share? Is it just going to be something you're going to tell me to go and find, or you want to try and actually share to the screen? Verbal, okay, all right. So some of both. All right, we'll see how we go. Okay, so why don't I start with Andrew? You wanted to talk about Brave browser and Daisy Disk. So you'll need to unmute. You are unmuted by looks of things. Am I unmuted? Yep. And you'll need to share your screen if you got that set up. Yep.
Yeah, so this is Brave browser. As you can see, it's a different version of Chrome, and it's got a few features which are quite neat. It's more privacy focused, and
better.
Yeah, it gives you rewards based on substitution of adverts. So it substitutes the Google adverts for its own, and it rewards you for doing that. So if we go to the wallet over here, it should come up with no. Okay, I'll take a little while.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can earn rewards, and if I just shift that, there's the rewards screen there. You can get paid in Brave Attention tokens.
Yeah, BAT stands for Brave Attention Tokens. I was trying to work out what the currency was.
Yeah, so you most months I earn something like about 5, but this last month I've earned nearly 7, and you can set it to donate a certain percentage to the independent websites that you go and visit. I usually have it set to donate one bat per month, once a lot, and yeah, you just let it tick over until you've actually got something worth cashing in.
Now, fundamentally, Brave, I know, is a version of Chromium, so it's effectively the same engine as Google Chrome, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in theory, any website that works with Google Chrome and is fussy about it should also work with Brave, which is a sometimes useful thing to know. I actually have Brave myself, but I only use it as my third fallback option after Safari and Firefox. So if something doesn't work with anything else and really needs Chrome or something resembling Chrome, I'll go and run Brave.
Yeah, I've only found it doesn't work with only a couple of websites in particular. Like, I think it was the KFC delivery website. That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's pretty reliable. It's now the other one is Daisy Disk, of course.
Yep, Daisy Disk, in case you couldn't hear that clearly. So I've also used this one. Now, is that showing us you got to click scan, don't you, before it does the nice.
Yeah, so I'll just move that out of the way. Scan. Now, as you can see, the new feature is it does Google Drive or Dropbox. You've got that. So you can actually scan your Google Drive or Dropbox just as you would your hard drive or partition for boot camp and that sort of thing, and you can actually see what you've got. So
I'm not seeing that
if
up.
it was to,
Is it supposed to be giving us a progress bar or something like that? As it works it out, I don't see any activity there.
it's actually loaded up on the Google Drive, and it's saying that my main Google Drive, it's mostly Gmail and then photos. And
there we go. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. Okay.
But if you go,
So what it's doing basically is it gives you a pie chart, organized, nested view of everything that's stored on your whichever drive you're scanning. So once it's finished scanning one of the other drives, it'll be a bit more obvious because there isn't all that much on the Google Drive in this case. That was the fastest one. Here we go. Now.
So here we go. This is the main one.
That's more like it. So it's like an exploded circular view where the tiers correspond to nested folders, and the proportion of the circle that's filled in indicates how much proportion of the total disk space is occupied by that item. So there is 48.5 gigabytes in total, and whatever it is that Andrew's looking at right now.
This is my home folder. This is my home folder.
Right. So of that, nearly everything is iTunes. And if we go down one,
so it goes down one folder. That's the music, iTunes.
Right.
Over here is a particular one, classical.
Yep.
And then you've got more, and you've got compilations. So you can go all the way down to.
Yep. So you can drill down and go back up in levels and look at more details. So that's one particular folder, and you can go up and up and up and up and up and get back to where you started. So it gives you a very convenient way. I've used this quite often for trying to work out on somebody's computer, why has my computer suddenly got no disk space? And when we discover this monstrously huge file they've got somewhere. So it's quite good for that sort of thing. It's one of the many tools for that. And I quite like the way this one presents things visually. There are a variety of tools like this. Some of them display it as a big list of numbers sorted, and some of them display it as there's one called Grand Perspective, which has rectangles that are sized in proportion to files, but they're completely randomly organized, and it's hard to work out where things are. I prefer this one, but it's commercial software, and it's sort of, do you remember the price offhand, Andrew? It's sort of $30 ballpark.
Yeah, it's actually been about, I've had this for about 8 years.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it's constantly been in the App Store, recommended hits, down the bottom, as the best of the App Store since 2013. So I think the big thing is, of course, that they've had a pretty major update with free minor parts in the last week or so, with the connect to Google Drive or Dropbox, and that's going to evolve pretty full on over the next few months or so. Yeah.
Yep. I found it in the App Store. So you can get it from the App Store for $17 New Zealand. So it's not particularly expensive. And I know you can buy it directly from the manufacturer's website if you don't want to do it through the App Store. I got it that way. There is a slight technical advantage to doing it via the manufacturer's website because it's allowed to access your entire drive if you do it that way. If you get it from the App Store, it's restricted from accessing certain level things, but usually they're things you don't care about anyway, so I wouldn't be concerned about that.
You can also upgrade from the App Store version to the website version for free, and that will give you the ability to delete specific, I think it's the Time Machine cache files that for backups. If you're in the habit of leaving Time Machine going on the local drive for a couple of weeks before you actually save it out to disk.
Just pausing for a second, Andrew. So to answer that question, the program's called Daisy Disk, all one word. Daisy followed by disk. So it's supposed to look a bit like a flower. So if you just remember that it looks like a daisy. And it's also like a daisy wheel from a daisy wheel printer. If your experience with printers goes back that far, it's because they have like a circle with bits poking out of them, which is why they're called daisy wheels. Yep. So thank you, Andrew. That's useful. Joe, are you able to describe or share your screen or something? Is that going to be feasible? Are you there, Joe?
Yeah, I can probably do that. I was just going to demonstrate, well, probably an app that I make quite good use of. I float around all over the place with my mobile, and it's quite handy to be able to figure out where I was and how long I spent there. And while there's a bunch of location-based things, one of the most useful I've come across has been one called Life Cycle. It also incorporates things like your time sleeping and walking and bits and pieces. So I can probably briefly share that. Give me a second. I will find.
Find it myself, so I know what I'm looking at. So is it all one word, Life Cycle? Okay.
Right, can we see that? Hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. All right, I've just got to authenticate. So in a given day, it sort of gives you a pie chart of what you've been doing in the day. So I spent on Wednesday, I spent 7 or so hours at home, 7 or so hours sleeping, and it picks up from health, sleep quality, and various other bits and pieces. It took me about 22 minutes to get to work, and about 53 to get home. I spent 12 minutes at a petrol station, so it pretty much knows based on a location what's around it, and you can say if it doesn't quite get it, you can say, well, actually I was at the super cheap auto rather than the BP. Clicked on the top bar. And so I can classify for a backup to my timesheet, so I can figure out where I was in a day. I did a kindy drop off allegedly, and it's usually things like that you can go. Well, I think I probably went to the bus stop to pick up the kids or something like that. So you'd go, change it to a pickup. And so I find this quite useful, and over time it gives you little sort of graphs of how many hours per week you've spent drinking coffee. So for example, I've spent 5 hours at McDonald's. Yes. And certainly, back when I used to carpool a lot, it was probably quite useful for tracking that kind of information as well. So back a year ago, I used to do a lot more carpooling than I do these days. But it in the name, it's called a Life Cycle, and it pretty much will tell you your entire what you've done down to in a year. I can go back and say, last year I did 1.3 million steps. I spent 2,815 hours sleeping, and I probably spent I don't know. I spent 10 hours at the doctor, for example. So yeah, there's quite a lot of information that your device already knows, and this is just a handy way of categorizing it. And if you've got something useful that you want to keep track of, for example, it tells me that I've spent less time recently donating blood,
So So it gives you
And I think, yeah, and you can usually correlate that with something else and find out, oh, well, I've been to the doctor more, or I've done this. So I find it quite useful to, to track things over time, and just generally find some stats on what I'm doing.
So just for completeness, it's called Life
So that's
Track Your Time is the iPhone version. So, but you can easily find it just by searching for Life Cycle. Now, just one question, Joe. I noticed it has in-app purchases. Are they necessary for it to be particularly useful, or otherwise it's free? I'm just wondering. It says premium features with online backup, which cost either $8 or $14, so it's unclear without delving into it what they do.
If you're trying to back it up online, and a lot of the activity reporting, going back, if you want to go back a year or something to track activities over that sort of time, that's the premium features. But I used it without that for a good few years, and it still stores all the data. Obviously, it's just the advanced reporting needs you either have to download it and or export it and figure it out yourselves, or pay them for pretty graphs.
Yeah, okay. Margaret is asking, how much information do you have to provide it to make sense out of things? So obviously a lot of it's location based, but do you have to sort of, how much do you feel you have to correct it? I suppose is where that would be, where it comes in.
If after you've done something once, the next time you go back there, and it might be it'll obviously pick it up the next time. So some of the minor differences might be, I might go to Kindy for a movie rather than a pickup or a drop off. So classifying what you actually did there is something you can go back, and certainly I find it useful, particularly with work. It'll come up with a question mark in a location. What is this place and what do you do there? And I can say, oh, that's such and such job, and yes, I was working there, or this is where I skived off and spent half an hour getting lunch, or something like that. So I find it quite useful for keeping track of what I've been up to. I don't always remember, and it's useful to have a phone that knows where it is, and can derive some usefulness from that.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, cool.
Right. Any other remote people wanting to share something? Otherwise, we can do some of the local people. Gallery, go back to that again. Rex had disappeared. Shane, you had something you wanted to share? I need to wake up again. Yep. All right. Well, while we're waiting for that to warm up, which will take it about a minute by looks of things, Leslie, you had something you wanted.
Last year I was selling quite a few things on Facebook. I came along to this meeting and asked people how I could more easily load the photos onto TradeMe. It seems to be a very difficult process. Nobody could help me, much to my surprise. Well, of course, everybody's moved on, and now I just take the photos on the phone and click on which photo I want, and then I drop to my computer.
Okay, I can add to that, having done this once or twice. There is a TradeMe app on the phone, and it is a very, very easy way to upload a large number of photos, because it basically uploads them all to your account, and then you can pick which photos you want that you've already uploaded to add to your TradeMe listing from your computer. So if you have the TradeMe app on your phone, you can use that to either take photos or pick them from your library, and then it will upload them to TradeMe into your account, not attached to a particular auction. And then when you go into your auction and you're setting it up, you can actually pick from photos you've previously uploaded. So that's possibly an easier way, because it doesn't actually involve you transferring the photo to your computer at all. So it just requires the app on the phone.
One thing with photos going on your phone and doing it on TradeMe, I find you can't alter the actual
like rotated and things.
So well, you can't actually change which you have as your main photo, and you can't move them around.
Yeah.
Well, can you?
this, you can move them, delete them.
Probably because I'm using the old tracking one. I hate the new one. I haven't got used to
There's
it.
a new one. I mean the user
Yeah, the
interface.
new-
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't used it much recently. So yeah. Okay. Moving along. Is it up? Yes. So Shane could now possibly do his one. I'll need to switch cameras so we can see this. If I do that.
8814. One of the ones that I use quite regularly is this one here. It's called Stokecard. So basically this one here stores a lot of your well-used cards. So a lot of people don't like taking cards with them in your wallets and stuff. And so yeah, this is one I use. Basically with the added list of using the camera, you can take the barcode off the back of the actual card.
Okay.
And it basically adds them into your Stokecard. So it's a good way, just because most of the time I keep my phone on me all the time. So like if I go to the centre, or if I even remember or forget to take the club's Biz Rewards card when I'm going to purchases from WelMac Stationery, I can basically just do that. And most of the handheld scanners now will basically do it off the screen. There's some of the old checkouts won't do it if they've got the glass ones. But if you've got the handheld scanners, they will basically scan off it. So this is one I use quite a bit. Same with Pack'nSave or Subway.
Okay. Can I just make a small point here for everybody watching this remotely? The colours have been washed out totally by the camera, so they're coming up as a blank white rectangles. But just to explain what we're looking at on the screen here, they're all actually showing nice, colourful pictures. So I think the problem is that the camera is not doing a good enough shot of the Apple TV to get the detail, unfortunately. So they've got things like barcodes on them and that sort of thing which you can't see on the remote view or on the recording.
Yeah, I think before when you get the lights on it might be.
Maybe we could try it with turning the lights back on again.
Leslie, could you just flip the bottom switch down?
See if that helps, because I think it's getting some kind of interference or something that's not picking up properly. Oh, that's a bit better. Yeah, we're at least seeing something now. So it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. So just not handling the
It's also got a geolocation on it, so it knows where you are, and it will pop up and say, "Oh,
yeah.
back and save."
Yeah.
So it comes your.
Yeah, Apple Wallet has the same sort of functionality. The problem is that almost nobody in New Zealand has bothered to support Apple Wallet, as far as I can tell. The one thing I know of that I've got in it is my Nespresso Club membership. So whenever I go past an Nespresso store, it invites me in for a cup of coffee. Other than that, it seems to be a waste of time having Wallet in New Zealand because nobody's interested in actually bothering to support it.
Event pass. So if you do get movie tickets from Event Centre, Event Cinema, it actually stores them into your
right
as well.
So
you
that
can actually go into there and scan them out as well.
So
but as David said, I also have my Nespresso membership in there as well.
Oh, that's also works in Stokecard. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, yeah, but that's also in Stokecard. So yeah, it's just a double whammy basically. Another one I use quite regularly, this one here called Gasfy. If you ever want to know how much petrol is around location wise, it will basically do it on all the petrol stations locally around what area you're in. You can set it up and basically you can look up currently, because my car takes 91, I've actually set it up to do 91. But if you swipe across, that's basically diesel, 95. So you can do 95 diesel, 91. So it will give you the thing. It's also done on score system as well. So my profile is basically there. So there's my name there. It's got all my spy coins. So the more times you actually update it, the more points you get. So it will actually give you a list, if you can see down the bottom, Wellington, Hawke's Bay, Manawatu, and National. So basically, because I do travel a bit to Hastings, so if I do change prices of petrol when I'm in Hastings, I can update it there and get points as well. So it just adds to your profile and gives you more rewards and stuff like that. So, and it also lets you know the last person that actually confirmed it. So everybody has a profile name. So on that one there, we put it by Kinesis. So they all have profile names. So yeah, it's a really good one if you're traveling a lot around the country and stuff.
Even locally, which
Yeah.
petrol station amongst the 7 in reasonably close range has it got a cheaper price today, sort of thing. That's,
Yeah.
that's quite
And
handy.
the thing is, the prices in petrol are going up and down like they go. At the moment, it's going up, not down. So yeah. I think too, if you're a frequent shopper, this is another one I used to, which I used at work, which is called Price Spy. Now, this one basically uses retailers around the area, and it's internet based as well. So basically, you can it'll actually have a category section, so you can go into kids and family. You can look up drones, electric vehicles, go on some scooters, and it will give you prices of actual products around in retail. So if you want to basically get an idea what people are advertising prices of things, you can use this app instead of doing.
Is that the same thing as the pricespy.co.nz website? They just got their an app for it, basically. Yeah.
There is an app for the phone.
Right, because I'm aware of them at least doing online retailers. So if I'm buying something like a piece of electronic equipment that is available in about 12 different online stores, it's quite handy to seeing what Price Spy is saying. I can get it from PB Tech or Ascent or about 7 other places. Oh, yeah, okay, I've got an account with them. I'll use that particular service rather than to hunt through the whole lot myself.
So currently, I've just gone to the second one down, AirPods Pro, someone's selling those for $333.90 at the moment, PS5. So it's quite a good app as well. Works on your phone. I used it quite a bit, and when I was in the retail scene with other Normans, basically people had seen things that was a quick and easy thing. I always have my phone on me. I could always go in there and check, because half the time when I'm on the sales floor, I'm not near a monitor or near a computer. So it means I couldn't take the customer there, so I just bring out my phone and bring it up. And we used to use it quite a bit as a retail thing to price match. It's pretty cool.
You should use it as a customer as well.
Yeah.
Or say, hey,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
going down the road.
Yeah.
You should give me 10% of that.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
And this is one new one that I've been using currently at the moment with the Commonwealth Games on, or the Olympics. Basically, this is the ANZ app. So basically, you can keep an eye on the events and that are actually happening with the sports and what have you. They've also got a thing there where you can also support the competitors over there. So you just hit that and it sends big firm over to the actual competitors. Just an add-on thought to that too, if you notice my wrist on that side, I actually have one of the wristbands from ANZ, so I can also do it via that as well. So I can actually send support from that watch or that wristband basically for the Olympics and the Paralympics as well. So yeah, it's quite a good way of showing support. And one more I'm going to show you, which a lot of people may know about, is called Manage My Health. Now, just recently, people have known that this year I've stumbled to a hernia. Never been to a doctor since I was about 14 or 15 when I was in Wolf's Bay. Moved up here to Wellington, never had to go and see a doctor, but now I am seeing a doctor. Did all my blood tests and stuff, so this is really good. And a lot of people now have got this electronic thing now, and it's a good way of looking at all your health results and stuff like that. So it's as you can see there, or it's done a complete blood count. I've got it all there from the doctor, gives me all my readings and stuff on there as well. So yeah, the cool thing about this one, you can also share it with your family as well. So if you've got someone that's an elderly person in your family, you are the carer for that person, you can basically set it up and do that too, so you can be a contact with the doctor as well. So yeah, but that's some of my little apps I use quite regularly. It's called Stocard. Yep.
In my case, I didn't have a choice. The online format was offered by my center. And then they switched to Manage My Health, which I don't find is good. But that's another one that's each medical center which one they use. So I don't know if you have somehow used it.
I suspect it's actually part of the primary health organisation which decides which one they're using, or is it the individual medical centre?
I do recommend doing it.
But basically what happened is when I registered, because I had to get a local GP because I never had one, I got referred to this one by another practice that was basically not taking any more patients. They were full. It was originally known as Rapata Health down High Street, just before the hospital. They've now called it Health Hub, High Street Health Hub. So they're using the same building, but the previous practices in there have actually moved out. And the cool thing about the practice that I'm with, this one has doctors, dentists. It's a whole practice. So it's actually on a multi-level. So it's basically got doctors, dentists. They've also got physiotherapists up on one of the third floors as well. So it's a combined one. So it's got most of what you would have if you, instead of going to separate practices, you just go to one building and everything's in the same building. But part of that too, when I registered for High Street Health Hub, they basically gave me the link to Manage My Health, which is really cool because it means I can see my results. If I can't make it into the doctor, I can also do a video consultation with my doctor as well, using Manage My Health. But also too, if my doctor urgently needs to see me, you can send me a message through that saying, hey, doc, this is what's happening, you need to get your run. So it's really cool. Yep. Yeah. Especially when you get to the slightly, when you get a lot older as well, getting into that age bracket, things start happening. It's really good.
Do you use that on your computer as well? Or is it
No, just primarily on my phone.
But I think it's available via a web page as well.
That's the way I use it.
Yeah.
It's a different version, isn't it?
No, it'll be linked to the same account, so you'll be able to access the same information on both. That's the way that sort of thing normally works. It just needs to be secure enough that it's not going to have access to other people. That's all.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Any other audience tips? Howard? Yes.
I use quite a lot. Well, I used to use quite a lot before COVID came along. And that's called Tripit. TRIPIT. And it's quite useful at the moment in that people send you their flight details or whatever. So Tripit will actually pick it up out of your email and drop it into Tripit. And it'll be when somebody's about to arrive or they've got a trip coming up or whatever. I found it really, really useful. Overseas, it was good as well, because it's a quick time, kept you in the right time zone for things. Yeah, just found it quite useful.
Is that one word? Oh yeah, Tripit.
Orange logo with, yeah, that's it.
Tripit travel planner. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We've got examples there, so it's again free unless you want extra features. So free enough. Yeah. And if you're on the right Wi-Fi net, you want to share the screen. Yes, our ultra secret help desk Wi-Fi network, which we only set up when we're running help desks and meetings and things like that, with the ultra secret password. The help desk, the Wi-Fi network is called WelMac Help Desk. The password is Macintosh. All lowercase, but it only exists while we've got that Airport Express set up. So, yeah. Oh, I'll switch to this thing on.
Yeah. So if there's any other apps you can just.
Yeah, hard to see that, but
The past trips.
Oh, it's not showing those ones. No.
It'll show it up as individual trips. It defaults to the suitcase and the logo, and it tells you when and where. And
Maybe if you choose one of them.
that's weird. It's showing it like it's using it as a screen extender. It's not actually doing it.
Yeah, it's not actually showing the actual ones down below.
Okay.
It's really, really weird.
All right.
It's part of the app that it's.
Anyway, Tripit, I found it really useful if you do a bit of traveling yourself, or if your family have a lot of travel and want to keep up with them.
Okay, all right. Any others from the audience? Margaret.
Yes, it's in that we had a session on the digital wills, which I think is quite a good thing to have, because we've got to think about sort of, you know, what happens to all the stuff we've got. And the guest speaker was Erin Bennett from Consumer New Zealand. And if you go to Consumer New Zealand website, or if you just Google digital wills, Consumer and Erin Bennett will pop up. And there you will find most of them. And yeah, she goes up a bulletin gate, but she's extremely worthwhile. Covered a lot of ground very well.
There we go. Yep.
If you're interested in getting yourself organised.
So that's consumer.
Other wills and things, because it's different. She also told us that we don't put our passwords in there. She didn't say we do put them. But I'm not sure. I think what she's saying is you work out some other way.
Yeah, there are one of the options that might be a possibility for passwords. If you have other people you can share them with, there are some of the password management software like 1Password has got the ability to have a family account, and you can have multiple people with a shared vault, and you can basically have shared passwords stored in that, and then you've got access to it even if the other person's not available.
She covered various, like Google, for example, has a sort of when you pay with them. But at the moment,
Right, well, Apple's just announced as part of the next operating systems, I think, a digital legacy program.
yeah,
So it's part of, it might even be available now, I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah, so effectively that was the ability to pre-arrange certain people to have access to your iCloud account after you pass away, and then they can apply to Apple, and Apple will quickly approve it, and then they get access to your Apple ID basically, so they can then access your media and files that are stored on iCloud, and presumably passwords that are stored in iCloud keychain, I would expect. Yeah. Oh well, anyway.
Yeah, it's certainly something. If you've got digital accounts, it's good to see what ability they have for that sort of thing. Certainly, the likes of Google and Facebook and various other big platforms all have the concept of a legacy contact, or who can control your account after you can't. So it's a good idea to make sure that's all sorted.
Yeah, she's got a few examples of legacy, but there was more. I think that's missing there, but I just thought I'd see what was available online. And, I just noticed that she's got what is it download.
There's quite a lot of stuff there, I can see. So yeah. Yeah, and that's not behind a paywall or anything. You don't have to be a member of consumer to access that. So
no, that part's public. I'm not sure what story is about what we got on TV.
Yeah, I expect there'll be more detailed stuff. Yes, yes. As Consumer seems to make, and they also seem to. I was subscribed to Consumer many years ago, and they keep sending me emails still, so I'm aware of things that I can't access unless I resubscribe to. yeah. Okay, all right. I'll stop sharing that for a moment. All right. So, any other audience tips? If not, shall I do my one or ones? First one is the HomePod Mini, which for those who haven't seen one remotely, that's what we're talking about. It's hard to get the scale of the thing, but compared to my hand, you can see they're not particularly large. So if I hold it up that way, you can see it's got a little screen, little thing on top of it. I can just tap that to make it wake up.
That human affairs were being watched from the timeless worlds of space.
The last thing I happened to be playing on it was For the Worlds, just to test it. So I just tapped it and it resumed what it was playing. And now the detail doesn't come through. Oh, there we go. You can see it now. It's got kind of a mesh cover. It's actually quite soft to the touch. And it just sits on your table quite happily. Those little gadgets cost $160 each. I now own 3 of them. This is my spare portable one, which I haven't quite worked out where it's going to live at home once I've got it set up properly. But at the moment, it's just I'm using it to demo things. What does it do? Well, it's a smart speaker, so you can use it. The various the primary functions for it are an AirPlay output, so you can play audio from any of your Apple devices to one or more of your HomePods, and if you have several of them, you can pick which subset of them you want, or you can say everywhere. So you can have, for example, while I was setting up to go to the help desk, I've got a pair of full-size HomePods in my office, one HomePod mini in the bedroom, one HomePod mini in the dining room, at opposite end of the house. And I told it to play what I was listening to everywhere as I was walking around the house. I could just hear what I was in the middle of listening to, and I didn't have to carry my phone around with me. So that sort of thing. So that's the simple method. It also supports the Magic Voice Assistant. So for it, what I can do is make it ask to play anything that's in my music library on my phone. So, for example, I could say, "Hey Siri, play Enya."
Now playing Enya.
"Hey Siri, pause." Just arbitrarily, just off the top of my head. So a random song by Enya. It wasn't actually, but you can actually give it album names, track names. I've sort of managed to work out a syntax so I can ask it after you finish playing this, play this something else kind of thing. So you can sort of do voice control, setting up playlists and so forth. It has got, apart from the little touch sensitive top surface, so you can just play and pause stuff. It's also got volume controls on it, and you can adjust the volume. So, "Hey Siri, resume." "Hey Siri, volume up." "Hey Siri, volume down." "Hey Siri, quieter." "Hey Siri, much louder." "Hey Siri, stop." So I mean, it's pretty good for voice responsiveness, and I found that I have one of these sitting in the dining room, and I can be sitting half a room away on the couch and call out to it and without shouting, and it's picking it up quite well. So I'm quite impressed with the voice responsiveness. So yeah, Margaret.
Correctly that you can use it as a phone ringtone amplifier, because I've been wanting this ever since I got a cell phone, because I don't want to be chatting it from room to room.
If the phone rings, I'm not sure actually. If the phone call came in.
If you want to pair it to the normal ring.
Well, it'll know about it anyway. So if you, yeah, but I don't know if it'll actually tell me there's a phone coming in, a phone call coming on my phone. So Shane rings me on my cell phone. Am I on the same Wi-Fi network first of all? So let's just double check. So I'm not in the normal network setup here. No, I'm not. Hang on. I'll need to switch networks, Shane. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, and it may not announce calls by default. Maybe something I have to actually configure. Let me just check. Settings, phone, calls.
Especially if you can use it to answer your call wherever you are, and leave your phone in the other room.
That's just banners. Let me just have a look at the home.
Yeah.
Well, why hasn't somebody done this already? They could be making money.
Guest room home port. Just didn't mean to do that. I just was playing. What can you do with it?
Yeah, because I've got a Panasonic, one of those hand phones. It's
I don't see it as a built-in instruction.
It's got Bluetooth on it. Basically, I can actually make calls with it as a thing, but when my phone rings, it announces you have a call from 021.
Yep. Well, do you want to try ringing me now, Shane? I'll just see if it does anything. I don't think it'll do anything all by itself. I might have to set something up to do it, and I haven't spotted anything. I'm getting notified on my watch. It's buzzing. But no, the HomePods aren't doing anything in particular, so that doesn't appear to. No, it may be the sort of thing you can set up a shortcut to do though. So you could have something on your phone which is watching for a incoming call, and when you get one, it could then announce via your HomePods that you're getting a call. So it would actually be a voice message rather than a ringtone as such. But certainly you can have phone calls shared with other computers nearby. If I go into, it's actually part of FaceTime, isn't it? That's right,
Yeah.
confusingly.
You haven't used it as a speakerphone, have you?
Locked. No, incoming calls, announced calls, headphones only. I've actually got announced calls. That's only talking about headphones. Where is the number of devices which can listen to that? They've moved it since I last looked. My number, calls on other devices. There we go. No, that's just devices. So if a phone call comes in, there's already a feature which shares the phone call via Wi-Fi with my other computers that are nearby. So I can answer a phone call on my computer. That part works fine. I get a notification popping up on the computer, but I don't see any option there for HomePods being included as a built-in feature. So it may be possible with some extra add-on stuff, but not built in as far as I can see. But yeah, I mean, the audio quality, it's not quite as bassy as I would like. It seems to bottom out too quickly, but otherwise sounds perfectly clear. There is an intercom feature that I haven't even tried yet, but in theory, if you've got several of these things, you can actually do intercom conversations with people in different places in the house, or even to and from people's phones when they're out of the house. So it can all sort of link together. I haven't tried that yet. So that's one feature I need to explore.
I could hear a phone ringing and transmit that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. That may be the sort of thing they could add later, but it doesn't seem to be there at the moment. To set one up, I've only done it so far with an iPhone, but I'm assuming you could also do it with an iPad. I'm not so sure if you only had a Mac and whether you could actually go through the setup process, because it hasn't got any user interface on it. It relies on the Home app on Apple's products to do all the configuration. So normally when you set one of these up for the first time, it starts pulsing at you on its little built-in display, and you take your phone and put it near it, and it pops up a message on the phone saying, would you like to set up this HomePod? And then it basically copies settings off your phone for doing things like joining the Wi-Fi network, so you don't need to actually type anything in. So that works quite nicely. Another neat trick I've found is that you can, I won't do that particular song. If I go back to my library and arbitrarily pick something, not too loud. Oh, that's why I was using Enya before as a good example. So I'm going to go find Enya again.
Okay, it says here, to use HomePod or HomePod Mini to make wireless calls, you need to make sure you adopt the latest version of iOS and HomePod. You also need to make sure to turn on personal requests.
Yes, which I've done.
Either during setup or through the HomePod.
Right, so I'm just playing some music on my phone right now. Neat feature they've got. I just transfer the music. Have to be further far enough away from it. What's that doing? Go away. There's a button I got to tap. So you can basically transfer your music to and from a particular HomePod just by putting it close enough. So I start listening to a podcast or music or whatever on my phone. I decide I actually want to hear that. And rather than having to fiddle around and get it to play the right place, I just put it next to it and it tells me, do you want to transfer it? And I say yes. So you can also set them up. If you have an Apple TV, you can set up HomePods as the only speaker that an Apple TV will use. Up till the current version of the operating system, it requires a full-size HomePod for that, but the upcoming new version will also support the HomePod Mini. I think it's not quite there yet. So I've actually got this Apple TV I'm running at the moment is normally in my office at home. I've got it plugged into a computer monitor. I'm just using the HomePods that are next to it as speakers. So that gives me a reasonably good alternative TV setup for at least anything digital based.
157 for BBT.
Yeah, there's 159 is the official Apple price. So whichever PVTech is slightly discounting the official one. So they only came out in New Zealand about a month ago, so a month and a half or something like that. So I pre-ordered them when they were announced and it took about 3 weeks. And since then, I've just bought one more, and I think they're currently in relatively short supply in retailers, but I have seen like Palmerston North seems to have a fair number of them, but nobody else locally did when I last checked. So all the local retailers will keep running out of them as fast as they come in.
I went in there a couple of weeks, they had a couple, then they sold out, and I've just got one more back in.
Yeah,
over the weekend
but
when I was in there.
they're in very good stock, because I ordered this one on I think Thursday week before last, and arrived on Monday. So from Apple in Australia, so it's just normal shipping times. So it actually arrived a day earlier than they claimed it would. So I'm perfectly happy with them, as evidenced by the fact I've now bought another one. The full-size HomePod was never sold in New Zealand. I managed to buy 2 of them via TradeMe. These cost $159 each. The full-size HomePods are about $500 each. So, but they've got a much better quality sound. But these are actually much newer technology. So over time, I expect to get to a point where some features are only on the Mini and not on the full-size HomePod. It's also quite likely that Apple is working on some other product in this product line. So the Mini is currently the only one available, but there's likely to be something else coming later, which is like a sound bar possibly, or another version of the full-size HomePod or something like that. Possibly not as outlandish and not as overpriced, I think that's the idea. Did you
David, can you still use the HomePod Minis as like an automation sort of hub, or is it only the?
If you have HomeKit devices, the HomePod Mini acts as a HomeKit hub. So you don't need, it's one device to act as a HomeKit hub if you've got HomeKit devices, and it needs to be either an iPad, an Apple TV, or a HomePod or a HomePod Mini. So any of those can act as a controlling hub for HomePod home automation equipment if you've got anything. And I've got, the only HomePod devices I've got so far are some middle temperature and humidity sensor gadgets, which are battery powered, and I've got them sitting on shelves and around the place in the house. So I've got one in the lounge, one in the bedroom, and I think I've stuck a third one in my office, so I can see what the temperature differential is around the house at different times. And they use Bluetooth, and they can talk to a HomePod or an Apple TV in the same room, and I can actually access them remotely from home quite happily using the app that comes with them. It's a product which is from the company Eve, and the version I've got of it is no longer available. They've got a more powerful version which also does air quality measurements of some kind that I haven't looked at yet.
Whereas I've got a bit more inside the Arlo security system at home, which is part of HomeKit.
Yep. It's also worth noting that the HomePod Mini, but not the full-size HomePod, has support for Thread, which is a new wireless network protocol which will start to become more important with home automation. So this one will do communication with Thread devices, but older Apple TVs, for example, won't. So this might be a bit more flexible. So having a few of these scattered around the house gives you much better control over your home automation, as long as you stick to Apple's HomeKit or future things that use the cross-platform options, which will be coming in future. Any other HomePod related questions? So that's basically, there's probably a lot more I could demonstrate, but let's go. Hey Siri, what's the weather like tomorrow?
The forecast is calling for rain tomorrow. The high will be 12 degrees and the low will be 8. My weather data is provided by the Weather Channel.
Bit of advertising. Yeah, hit an ad in there. Now, if you don't like the Australian voice, it's got the usual controls for Siri. This one I haven't reconfigured yet, but the ones at home, I got so sick of the Australian accent that I've changed them all to British accents because there isn't a New Zealand accent for it, unfortunately. But it's at least I can bear a British accent, but Australian accent's rapidly great if I'm hearing them all the time. Okay. The other thing I just wanted to was wondering if anybody wanted to know any more about Apple TVs. Oh, that's
So that's basically what I've got on my HomeKit. So currently I have the Arlo system, but I also have some lights as well, which are basically on my porch and my lounge, which I can turn on and off basically through that. So basically I can actually go into the camera. I might have to turn it on through Arlo first, but I can I can actually go into there and turn it on and go into the different cameras and stuff. That's pre-recorded video and stuff. I'll just go into Arlo first and turn them on. But yeah, I've got basically full access.
What's Arlo?
So Arlo basically is a security system. It gives me Wi-Fi cameras, remote cameras, which means I can actually go into my lounge, basically, and control them. So I can actually, if I go into my lounge now, this is actually live in my lounge while I'm not home. So there's my lounge there. Okay, so I have, and notice if you look to the left above the window, you'll see the other camera sitting up above the lamp there. So the other cool thing you can do is you can actually zoom in with them as well. So that's basically in my lounge. If I go the other way, whoops, go back into there again. So yeah, I do have access to the lights as well. So I can actually turn those on and off. So currently I've gone into the other app. Actually, if I do it on my watch, because I have access on here as well, I can actually turn my lounge light off. Yep. There we go. And I can actually turn it back. So that's in darkness. And if I go back in the watch now, I can actually turn my light back on again. So I have basically, I've got two lights. I've got one in my porch and one in my lounge that I can actually turn on and off randomly through Wi-Fi. So they're actually on a Wi-Fi network.
So those are just lights plugged into a normal light socket, and you leave the switch on, the wall switch on, and then you can control the light electronically.
So basically, you can see that it's just come back on again. So basically, they're a LifeX bulb, they're a Wi-Fi bulb. Yeah, so I can, I have, so if I actually go to the other camera, which is the one that's on the other pillar, you can actually see, it's disconnecting at the moment. So that's the other view from across there. So that's going across towards my fish tank. You can see my fish tank across the other side there. So I've basically got it as security set up. So anybody walks through my front door or through that side starts pinching my TV and sound system. Basically, I catch them on camera and I can record them. So it's yeah, it's done on Wi-Fi. And those cameras got no power to them. They've got batteries in them that last about 3 months. The new ones now, the batteries in them will last a year.
And you see you're upsetting the fish with this.
I can actually. The problem is
It's digital zoom, presumably.
yeah,
So
you can actually see my fish. There's a couple of them, goldfish. Some moving around. You can just see them down the corner there.
oh, the lights come on. Why is there nobody here to feed me?
So yeah, so it's really cool. But
Smart switches.
no, I don't. You can get those as well.
The light bulb itself is got its own Wi-Fi connection, and it's just plugged into a normal socket. So
Okay, it's a smart light bulb.
yes, which there are quite a few available now of various brands.
Yeah, so this is the bulbs that I use here. So they're called LifeX. If I actually go, so that's basically the bulb layout there. So I've got one in the living room, one on the porch. And if I actually go into each one, I can actually control them and dim them up and down as well. So I can take them right off, bring them right up again. Yeah, so I can actually go in there. So basically there's the status there. So you notice the Wi-Fi strength there gives you an version as well. They've all got their own firmware version and their own serial number as well. So yeah, and they're basically on the cloud too. So yeah, so I can actually update them, do all that with them as well.
Yeah.
But the other cool thing you can do with them is you can actually set up schedules with those bulbs. So if you go away on holiday somewhere, you can actually set them up to come on at say 5 o'clock at night and then go off at 11 o'clock at night. So it looks as though someone's actually living in the house.
Yep.
So it's really cool.
I have a little amusing story to tell about that sort of idea. Back in probably 1992 or so, I went away on holiday for a week, and I thought I'd set up my stereo to go on and off on a timer. So I had a computer, I had a little infrared transmitter which I'd built on a circuit board, and I had an infrared transmitter pointing at the infrared receiver on my stereo, and all the controls that it had was able to switch it on and switch it off and adjust the volume, because I'd managed to work out the command set for the infrared remote control protocol. So I set this thing up, it was working fine, went away on holiday, came back a week later, and I discovered that there was an exact opposite state from what I thought it was, because at some point it had missed one of the toggles. So it was turning a noisy stereo on at night and turning it off again during the day. And my neighbours didn't complain at me, luckily, but that didn't quite work as I hoped. Unfortunately, there wasn't a on command, there was only a toggle command, yes.
But
So
the
this
cool
thing's
thing-
much better.
Yeah, the cool thing I like about the LifeX ones is you can buy the bulbs stock standard, you can buy them in different colors. You can actually buy them in strips, light strips as well. So if you want to set up a movie nice in your house or your bedroom, or you can do that too. But the cool thing about it, the LifeX ones, all you need is Wi-Fi. With the Philips Hues, you actually need a Philips Hue switch to actually use them. The switch is well over $100, and then you've got to pay for bulbs on top. These ones here, standard bulb that I'm using there, $39.95. You put it in there, download the app, you set them up, and you can do everything with them. That's so cool. They're the most easiest ones to set up. They're really good. Yep, strain it fitting, or you can get some fitting as well. So that's all both as well.
Okay, Andrew is saying good night. So
Good night, Andrew.
without Andrew here, we actually run out of remote participants. So that's right. That's just minor side comments. Oh, Joe mentioned he uses something called Pass Verifier app to scan in barcode-based cards into Apple Wallet. So that's interesting to know. I'll just check that out myself. And then also Andrew was commenting on the manage my health thing. He said he had it as well, and everybody else is gone. So it's just signing out. Anything Apple TV related that people would like to know about? If anybody who wasn't here when I brought it along last time, I've got the new remote here. I didn't bring the old remote for comparison if you haven't seen that. So this is the current model Apple TV 4K.
That's the old version one.
Oh, the old one, that's the third generation and earlier remote. So this is similar in appearance. So they've effectively gone back to the style of the earlier one, but it's quite a bit thicker. So that's it's quite fat compared to the older ones, and it's much more holdable. And having now used two of these at home for a couple of months, I can definitely say I'm glad I bought this remote, because the previous one was a complete dog's breakfast with a horrible touch sensitive thing. It's just so much nicer to use, and I haven't lost it once compared to the old one.
I thought when I bought the new one, I thought I'd have trouble selling the old one. But yeah, I had a guy paid me, I think it was about $45 for the old one. So I got half of back with what I paid the new one. So it was really good. The other cool feature with the old ones is you had to put a button battery in the back of them. The new ones, you can actually charge them up.
Yep, it's got a lightning socket on the bottom, so
the
chargeable.
batteries last a lot longer as well.
Yep.
It's got a mute switch on.
Yes, very nice. I like the mute switch. Yes, volume control, mute, play, pause, go back, which is the previously labeled menu on the older ones, home, as well as this is if I actually play something. I might just stop recording so we don't record commercial video.
So the Siri buttons now are actually around the side now, not on the front.